Welcome to Lesson 1, Basic Airline Terminology. My name is Jacob Samuel. According to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, 1.5 billion passengers embarked on international flights in the year 2019, which means to say that around 4.1 million passengers had embarked and packed their bags and departed on an international journey, thus making the travel terminology a part of their daily vocabulary. I wish to walk you through with some of the commonly used airline terminology that we encounter each day. The two C's of an aircraft. When you talk about the entire aircraft, it's divided into two parts called the two C's. One is the cockpit and the other is the cabin. You have the cockpit and you have the cabin. The cockpit is a place that is designated for the captain and his first mate, or you call him the first officer. And the cabin is a place that is designed and designated for the passengers. So next time you are at the airport, when you see this handsome uniformed personnel, just observe them very carefully. You can distinguish between the captain and the first officer. The captain, he will have 4 stripes on his sleeves and 4 braids up here. And the first officer will have 3 stripes on his sleeves and he will have a 3 braid on his shoulders. So this is how you identify the captain from the first officer. The captain with 4 stripes and the first officer with 3 stripes. And the captain will always be seated on the left side, and which is called the port side. When you are facing the aircraft, the captain sits on his left and the first officer sits on the right side. And it is always the captain's side that touches the terminal building. And that is why the left side of an aircraft is called the port side, because it is that side of the aircraft that touches the terminal. Galley. This is an area of an aircraft where your basic meal requirements are cooked. Basically, you can call it the kitchen of an aircraft. Of course, your food is normally cooked or prepared by a flight kitchen. There are so many companies across the world that is specialized in manufacturing or producing food for the scheduled flights. But this food is heated just before its service to the passengers. And this is what is called the galley. Air bridge. You will not find the air bridge in many of the places or the airports across the world. So if there is an air bridge and there is a designated place for the aircraft to park, then of course the air bridge is connected to the left side of the aircraft from where passengers board and disembark the aircraft. So it's the left side. The air bridge connects to the left side of the aircraft, and as I've said earlier, it is on the left side of the aircraft the captain is seated. Taxiing in and taxiing out. These are common terms that you come across. You often hear the word that the captain is taxiing for takeoff. So when you say taxiing in, is once the aircraft lands on the runway, and from there, under its own power, the captain steers the aircraft up to the parking bay, and that is called taxiing in. And taxiing out is just the opposite. Taxiing out is once the aircraft is pushed back from the parking bay, then the captain under its own power moves the aircraft slowly on the ground up to the place where it is designated to take off. Jump seat. Jump seat is a seat that is designated to the cabin crew, and these seats are normally used when the aircraft is taking off, landing, as well as when the aircraft is facing turbulence. You must have seen the crew seated. The captain announces just before takeoff, cabin crew, please be seated for takeoff. Or cabin crew, please be seated for landing. So this is the time when the cabin crew, they take to the jump seats. So this is called a jump seat. Pushback. Pushback is a process by which an aircraft is pushed back using a truck to move it away from the terminal building, where it is safe enough for the aircraft to steer under its own power to the place designated for takeoff. Airside versus landside. It's not landslide, it is landside. Airside is a part of the airport that is only accessible to the passengers, and this clearly signifies the passenger has already or technically left the country. And landside is the area where it is not controlled and where the passengers and the guests may have access. Normally when you say the airside of the airport is once the immigration stamps on your passport, departure, Bahrain International Airport, 20th December 2020, then technically you have left the country and that passenger remains airside. Baggage carousel. This is an area of the airport where the passengers, they claim their bags after arrival at the destination. And in major airports, there are many carousels, and at each carousel, the flight number is written for convenience for the passengers. Checked baggage and carry-on baggage. This is a term that is often confusing passengers. Checked baggage is any baggage that is weighed, kept on the weighing scale, and goes into the aircraft cargo hold, and the passenger has no custody over it during the flight, and it is delivered at the destination at the baggage claim area. And that is what is called a checked baggage. And an unchecked baggage is baggage that is taken into the aircraft by the passenger, and the passenger keeps custody of this baggage. It is also termed as cabin baggage. Infant. An infant, according to the IATA terms and definition, an infant is any passenger, male or female, who is below 2 years old on the date of travel. And an infant will pay only 10% of the fare, which means it's a 90% discounted fare, and the infant will not qualify for a seat, and the infant will travel on the lap of the adult or the parent. So if the fare from London to New York is 300 pounds, the infant will pay only 30 pounds. And the infant will not qualify for a seat, and the infant will travel on the lap of the parent. Child. Any passenger, male or female, who has attained 2 years old but below 12 on the date of travel. Again I repeat, it is not the date of purchase, nor the date of booking, nor the date of payment, but it is the date of travel. On the date of travel, a passenger should have attained 2 years old but below 12 years old is termed as a child, and a child will qualify for a seat and will pay 75% of the fare. So if the fare is $100 to a destination, a child who is below 12 years old will end up paying $75 as the fare. And an adult. An adult is any passenger, male or female, who has attained 12 years of age on the date of travel. Again, it's a date of travel. The date of travel will determine the fare for the respective passengers. It is not the date the booking is made. Thank you for lending me your ears, and I hope this lesson has been useful to you. The slides that were provided in this demonstration are not my property, and it has been properly referenced, and this is solely used for educational purposes. Till we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye. Thank you.